The way that it was pitched to me was that the island for Oliver is kind of like his fortress of solitude, actually, and that after everything that went down with Malcolm and the undertaking and Tommy, that there was just nothing in Starling City for him. So in that case, he goes where he is most comfortable, which is the island.
But the place where he's most comfortable is the place where the worst possible thing happened to him.
Well, yes, but we've also, well, actually, no, not necessarily. I mean, the worst thing that's probably ever happened to him in his life would be probably a toss-up between, his father committing suicide and Tommy dying. Neither of which happened on the island, although I guess, with his dad it was in close proximity. But we've only seen a very short portion of Oliver's time on the island, so maybe it gets better. Just the show is a lot freer. I mean, we're in our second season. We've only had one new director so far, so everyone that's come in has sort of known the game plan, and we're doing a lot of the things that worked for us last year and not doing the things that didn't work. I think the storytelling is tighter, but for Oliver, he has much less of a weight on him. I mean, there was very little that was heroic about what he was doing last year, save for what he attempted at the very, very end. It was all vengeance and revenge and the burden of his father. So for Oliver this year, he's just much more relaxed, much more easygoing, and because what he's doing and how he is spending his nights is making him feel good. He's not really chasing a ghost anymore.
There might not be much room for romance right now, but where is his heart? Is his heart still with Laurel, or is his heart just closed off from everybody?
Well, he has a very critical line in the 6th episode, which we're not talking about at the moment, but he is in a spot where he is convinced that he shouldn't be with anybody that he could really, really care about. That doesn't mean he can't be with some people that he sort of kind of cares about. That's one of the things that we actually touched on in the first season, and we are also in season 2 as well. That I think if you gave this guy some truth serum, he would admit to being a little bit lonely.
How has working with Diggle and Felicity changed his mission?
Well, it's expanded it. I mean, it was a very narrow scope in the first year. Leading into the first season, the second season. I mean, the first episode we're dealing with hood copycats, and in the second episode, it's a very straightforward. People are stealing medical supplies that are earmarked for Glaze Memorial, and we're seeing Oliver be really upset by people messing with, justice and what should happen in the city to make the city a better place. So, and both Diggle and Felicity have imparted some of those values onto him, because again, he learned a lot of martial arts on the island, and he learned how to use a bow and arrow, and he learned how to become a killer, but I wouldn't necessarily say that he became a great person there. So they've given him a lot of empathy and a lot of understanding of there's more than one way to win a fight.
Well, on that note, he is going to be going about things differently this year, and he's potentially taking on a new name. What kind of complications will that bring now that he's not necessarily shooting to kill?
Ironically, it makes a lot of our fights a lot meaner than they used to be. I mean, getting an arrow in the throat is probably you're dead, so that's the downside. But in the pilot, one of the first times that I take a guy on, I just come around the corner and I just punch him with my new horrible, like bow. I love the bow, but it's like a weapon, and I punched the guy in the head 3 times. So, but it has made it complicated because, I didn't have to worry so much about witnesses, and now I do. Now I do.
What do you want to see happen with Roy this season?
Yeah, the cool stuff is happening with Roy, and I've seen some stuff, and Colton's actually he's really funny. He and Oliver are getting a chance to interact a little bit. In the first episode we see it briefly, but we have a good talk, or talking to, as the case may be, in the second episode, and I don't know where they're gonna take that character, but much the same way that Felicity brought a new dynamic in, and Diggle is the voice of reason. I think having a younger, maybe more eager, more virtuous guy on the team would be a lot of fun. So I don't know if and when it'll happen, but I think it would work.
Does Oliver have any other allies in the first few episodes other than Felicity and Diggle?
Boy, let me think. Well, we are seeing the emergence of a team on the island as well, with Slade and Shadow, Summer Glau is now on the show playing Isabel Rochev, and we see her in the pilot, and then not for a couple more episodes. But whether I've seen it written that she's playing a villain, which is news to me at the moment. She seems much more friendly than maybe the initial reports suggested.
Well, as early as the premiere, we are seeing some new superheroes like Black Canary.
Mm-hmm.
How is that affecting Oliver? Does that sort of shake up where his head's at?
Yeah, it's a changing, expanding universe that we're operating in, and there's the easiest way to deal with it is just to deal with it head on. The first time that I have an encounter with Black Canary, I explain what happened, and what happened is pretty fantastical, and I just explain it in the most basic terms possible, which I think actually works quite well. Well, what happened? Well, this person did this, and they did that, and then this happened, and the glass shattered, and blah, 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 blah. And I think that that's a good way to deal with it. But Oliver deals with it better than you might expect, because he may have seen some superhero-y things that we don't know about yet.